So in language learning, we have 4 things, or I'm talking from my experience. I use 4 things. I use listening, writing, reading, and speaking. And now we also have grammar, an additional of grammar. Hi everyone, welcome to Swahili Kingdom. Thank you for clicking to watch this video. I really do appreciate. My name is Connie. I speak 6 languages and I'm here to offer my advice on the languages that I have learned, on the experience that I have gained to people who are starting to learn languages, for them to at least know the things that I have been through, and from the experience that I have gotten, what I can tell them to do differently. I wouldn't like you to go through the same route that I have gone through. You can do some things differently, okay? Instead of learning a language for 3 years, you can learn it for 2 years on your own at home. Thank you so much. So there's someone who asked a question in this community, Swahili Kingdom, and we appreciate questions that are asked in this community. If you have any question in regards to language learning, kindly comment down below and I'm going to cordially share my experience on that thing, and I'll also research on that to see what other students are experiencing, and from my students as well, the students that I am helping to learn languages. Okay, so this question was on procrastination. Okay, he said that his problem in language learning was really procrastination. He's not able to continue with language learning because of procrastination. So, have you been postponing on language learning as well? Have you been feeling like, no, I'm going to do it tomorrow, I don't feel like doing that thing today? Like, have you been doing that as well? If you have been doing that, this video is going to help you. You are going to get some experiences, some advice from my experiences. Sorry, okay? So, I have these 5 points. I have these 4 points. If you have been losing motivation from me, I have also gone through this thing of losing motivation. And by the way, if you have not subscribed to my newsletter, you can subscribe down below. I talked about losing motivation. Actually, this topic was very straight to, like, it was very timely because I've talked about losing motivation to my email subscribers, okay? Those people who receive my newsletters, I talked to them about losing motivation because right now I don't have motivation to do French. For example, I started learning French in January. So right now I don't have great motivation to continue with French like the way I had before. And sometimes that level is called the language plateau, okay, where you don't feel like you are advancing, you don't feel like you are going anywhere, you just feel like you are stuck, okay? It's called a language plateau. And if you have not subscribed to my newsletter, kindly subscribe down below. The link is down in the description box below for you to at least be in a community and see like what I am experiencing and what other students have been experiencing as well. Thank you so much for that. So the questions that I have for you is, first of all, what is making you lose motivation in language learning? What is making you lose motivation in language learning? Do you really want to learn that language? Okay, you can ask yourself these questions. They are rhetorical questions that can help you or can guide you out of that lack of motivation. Okay, what is making you lose motivation? Have you asked yourself? Or do you really want to learn that language? Or what was your goal in learning that language for the first reason? What was your goal for learning that language? Most of the time, I remember yesterday I asked someone their goal. He told me he was learning Chinese, and I asked him, okay, why are you learning Chinese? What is your goal for learning Chinese? And he said, I just feel like I want to. It makes me feel happy to learn Chinese. And I was like, okay, that's your goal. I said that in my mind, and I asked him, okay, for how long do you study, or how regularly do you study Chinese? And he was like, I do study maybe twice in a week, or sometimes if I feel like I study. So you see, the goal gives you the motivation. If your goal is just studying because you like it, you want it, you just want to study, you won't have enough motivation to learn the language. You'll be like, let me just learn when I want it, blah, blah, blah. You won't have a lot of motivation. So the goal, if the goal is very high, you are going to be very, very, very much motivated to learn it. And then I asked him, by the way, I like the Chinese characters. Could you be knowing the meaning of some characters since you are learning it? Because I asked him how long he has been learning, he said around 1 year. And when I asked him about the characters, I'm not judging him, by the way. Everyone has their own reason for learning languages, and that's where your motivation comes from, and blah, blah, blah. So when I asked him, he said, no, at the moment, I'm not interested in Chinese characters. I've not learned Chinese characters. I don't know Chinese characters. Yeah. So because of his goal was just, I like Chinese, I just want to, I feel like I want to. So that was his goal. Now see the motivation. The motivation went to, I just do it when I feel like, sometimes twice a week, sometimes, okay, not the one, sometimes twice a week. And remember, language learning is through consistency. You're going to see results through consistency. And now see, so you need to have a goal that can help you get motivation, and the motivation will help you be consistent. Okay, so when he was telling me that, I was like, oh, okay, that's great. Of course, I understand we all have different motivations, and with motivations, we all have different goals in language learning. So first of all, I can help you by first defining your language goal. Why are you learning that certain language? If, for example, you are learning Swahili, why are you learning Swahili? Are you learning Swahili to speak to your loved one? Are you learning Swahili to go do business in East Africa? Are you learning Swahili to go for a tour in Tanzania? Maybe you want to go for a tour in December, and right now we are in August. Are you learning Swahili to go for a tour in December? So that goal is going to give you motivation. That's one thing that I'm going to tell you. Goals motivate you, like it's like fuel. They fuel you to, like, I want to do this every day because I want to get to that goal. The higher the goal, the more the fuel. That's what I can tell you. So if you want to get motivation, kindly check at your goal in learning that language. Okay? The higher the goal, as I have said, the more the motivation, or the more the fuel. Okay? That's my take. But I have seen that, I have experienced that, and I can tell you that for sure, the higher the goal, the higher the motivation. I can give you an example. For example, there are two students. One student has a goal of learning a language because they have an exam. Maybe, let's say it's January, there are two students. One student has a goal of learning Spanish through that year, because at the end of the year, maybe December, they have an exam to do. The other student is just learning for the sake of learning. Okay, that is their goal. They are learning for the sake of learning. They like it, they just want to learn. Between these two students, at the end of the year, which student do you think will have more results? The one who was learning for the sake of learning, or the one who was learning because they have an exam? Of course, the one who was learning because they have an exam at the end of the year. They are going to be focused. They are going to dedicate a lot more time. They are going to have motivation. Yeah? Because the goal, as I said, the goal drives you. The goal really, really drives you. I have experienced this. I have seen it from other people. I have heard it from other people as well, from videos, from experts, business experts. I have read it in books because I really like reading books. But maybe if there's any other alternative, I don't know, because there's no one way of doing something in this world. I have come to know that if you have any other thing, okay, apart from a goal, you can comment down below for us to learn more from you. Okay, The second thing, what is your language learning method? What is your language learning method? Okay, so in language learning, we have 4 things, or I'm talking from my experience, I use 4 things. I use listening, writing, reading, and speaking. And now we also have grammar, an addition of grammar. These things that I do, they have comprehensible input, which is listening and reading, comprehensible input. And then writing and speaking are an output that I am getting out because of the input that I have gotten in. And then grammar is a must for you to know how to use things correctly. For example, when you were a child, you had a lot of input, but you had to go to school to know how to communicate properly, right? When you are a child, you can understand the language, you can speak the language, but you don't know how to speak it correctly. When you go to school, you will be taught grammar and you will know how to speak correctly. So grammar is important, but grammar is not, it's important and it's essential, but it is not the main focus. That's what I can say. So let's go back. The language learning method. So I use listening, writing, speaking, and reading. Okay? So I read every day, I write every day, I listen every day, and I do speaking every day when I have reached a certain level. Because what Stephen Krashen said, you cannot remove output when you don't have enough input. You cannot start speaking when you don't know the language. You don't have the input of the language. When you start speaking when you don't know, it's called forced speech. You can go watch my video on forced speech. Okay, watch that video on forced speech and see the methods that you can use to remove yourself from forced speech. And forced speech brings anxiety. The video will also be recommended at the end of this video. Okay, forced speech. Regresaste el mismo güey que juró no volver a buscarme. Te tardaste, solo tuve que tragar el dolor que dejaste. Ya fue a terapia junto a mis amigas, me sirvió para abrazarme. Llévate tus flores a otro lugar, porque aquí se van a marchitar. Alguien que te quiere no se va. Siempre fuiste el rey de pretextos y yo fui una tonta por caer en esos cuentos. La que antes te quiso de verdad, hoy ya no está. Llévate tus flores a otro lugar, porque aquí se van a marchitar. Si alguien que te quiere no se va. Siempre fuiste el rey de pretextos y yo fui una tonta por caer en esos cuentos. La que antes te quiso de verdad, hoy ya no está. Tuendele. Forced speech. So from the 4 things that I have mentioned, figure out what are the most important things for you, or what are the things that touch you to the core. For example, for me, the most important things, or I can say the SWOT analysis, the strength for me is in writing and reading. Writing and reading, those are my strengths. So my strengths are in input. But when it comes to speaking and listening, it brings a lot of an issue. I procrastinate sometimes because I feel like, maybe I might not understand this topic, let me do it another time. Yeah. So yeah, my strengths are in writing and reading. I love reading and I like writing. I love writing. I write every day. Those are my focuses or my strong points. Then my weak points are in listening and speaking. But I have looked for effective methods for listening and speaking for me to be able to communicate, because I'm learning the language to communicate with other people. So you can do that as well. I have a video on language islands on how I coach myself to speak. Okay, how I coach myself to speak a certain language, because I know I'm not that strong in speaking. So I force myself and I coach myself to speak. Why do I force myself to coach myself to speak? Because of the goal. My goal is higher, that it needs me to speak, and to speak fluently to native people, to natives. That's why I'm coaching myself to speak, because I want to achieve my goal. Again, look at your goal, then analyze your strengths and weaknesses by the language methods that you are using to learn. The third thing, do you like the things or the methods that you are using to learn? There are many methods to learn a language. There are many methods to learn a language. Okay, we have 4 things: listening, reading, speaking, writing. But in those 4 things, we have a lot, many methods inside them. For example, in writing, we have writing journals, we have writing songs, we have writing about your day, we have a lot of things in writing. In listening, you can listen to songs, listen to movies, listen to native talks, listen to blah blah blah. So what are you doing? What are you doing in those 4 parts? If it's listening, are you listening to things that are advanced than you? For example, if you are, let's say, A2 level, a beginner but A2 level, are you listening to things of B2 that are making you lose motivation? Because that can make you lose motivation. If you are listening, you need to listen to the right material of your level. That's what Stephen Krashen said. Let me quote him again. He said that you need to listen to have comprehensible input +1, I+1, comprehensible input +1. So what you are listening to needs to be a little bit above your level. If you listen to something that is a whole lot above your level, you are going to get dismotivated, and that one can cause procrastination, as I have said. Well, sometimes I listen to things that are just above. I just say like, no, maybe I won't understand, maybe blah blah blah. Maybe that's why listening is one of my weaknesses, listening and speaking, but I'm working on them. So check on your methods of learning if you are doing things above, really above the way you are supposed to do. Okay, because if you are at the lower level and you go to the higher level in listening, writing, speaking, reading, you are going to really get demotivated. For example, when reading, you can start with the beginner books. For me, for example, in Spanish, I started with the beginner books written by Oli Richards. After that, as I have reached a very advanced level, I guess it's B2C1 there, now I am reading books for natives, the self-development books or self-help books for natives. They are the ones that I am reading, and I can understand, I am content. Okay, but I started from below. You can't, when you start high, you're going to lose motivation, and that's going to make you procrastinate. The fourth point that I have is understand that we all lose motivation. You can't have motivation all through. For example, I've told you in the beginning about my lack of motivation in French. Okay, what do you do when you lose motivation? I have talked about that in my video on TikTok. You can go and follow me on TikTok to see the videos that I upload every day, Monday to Friday. Every day I upload videos of my day every day, like what's going on in my life, blah blah blah, what I have done. So I uploaded a video on what to do when you lose motivation, because I had realized that I lost motivation in French, but it's not that I have lacked motivation, I have lost, but I know I'm going to get it. Okay, I have lost motivation in other languages before, and I got them back and I continued. So just understand that sometimes we all lose motivation, something that is called a language plateau or something like that. and afterwards is going to come back. So you need to identify what to do when you lose motivation. For example, for me, when I lose motivation, I go straight to the input. Like, I just listen to things and listen. The lazy way of language learning. I listen and I avoid grammar, new vocabulary, or all these other things. I just listen a lot, and it really helps. And other people have, like, there was a student who told me that when they lose motivation, they focus on the fun stuff in the language. So you might have a way of connecting yourself as well. Just look for a way that helps you when you lose motivation in that language. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope these 4 points that I have given out of my experience in language learning, and my experience from teaching other students and from other people as well, I hope these points are going to help you, and they are going to help you to move out of your procrastination, give you motivation and everything, okay, in the language that you are learning. Kindly subscribe, like, share with your friend. Okay, thank you so much. Comment down below how this video has been. If you have any question in language learning, if you have any idea of how this video can be improved, okay, any idea that you have in procrastination, comment down below for us to learn as well. If you want to support me financially, there's a link down below for buying me a coffee. You can buy me a coffee. I will really appreciate. And if you want a course in language learning, especially Swahili and general coaching in languages, you can click the link down below, or send me an email on my email here on YouTube, and I'm going to respond, and we are going to talk about that. Thank you so much again, and ciao.